Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's been a lot of discussion today in regards to the competition and regulation of the industry. And I myself prefer a free enterprise system, prefer to keep government out of the way whenever we can possibly do that. But I think the real question for us today is whether additional regulation will be needed, whether there is enough competition to prevent that. And I think, Mr. Munoz, you said it best. You said the best way to avoid the need for that is for the industry to do self-regulation. And I think what we're looking for is to be able to have the confidence that the industry will provide the customer service that our constituents deserve without the federal government stepping in. So we had a horrific incident, unthinkable to see what we saw, the images that we saw in those videos. And I think our job is to determine whether this is a one-time incident or whether it is indicative of a culture that could lead to additional incidents like this. And I believe in many ways that the top of the organization, the CEO, sets the tone. As a small business owner, we admittedly much smaller, only had a few hundred employees, but the tone of the CEO is absolutely critical to drive the customer service throughout the organization. Mr. Munoz, you ask us to trust you today to make the changes that will be needed here for United. I must tell you, if I'm a member of the general public, seeing your reaction, seeing the reaction of United initially and in the few weeks after the incident, there's a lot of work to be done to convince us that you are responding properly to this horrific event. The day after the incident, and I'll quote, you said, "I apologize for having to reaccommodate these customers." And then later that evening you said to your employees, "While I deeply regret this situation arose, I also emphatically stand behind all of you, and I want to commend you for continuing to go above and beyond." Mr. Munoz, could you tell us what you were thinking at that point?
Yes, sir. With regards to the initial response, I think there's no excuse. It was an act based upon me trying to understand facts and circumstances. It's on me. It was the wrong thing to say at the wrong time. The second comment, after we gathered more facts and we understood a little bit more of the facts and circumstances, what had caused the event, who had been involved in the physicality that you saw, it was my point to make sure that our 87,000 employees understood that we had good...
I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I only have 5 minutes. I was appalled at your comments the first day, sent a letter the morning of the next day, April 11th, which, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit into the record if I could do so.
Without objection.
There were simple questions in regards to policy that had led to this, in regards to what United was doing to change that policy. Mr. Munoz, it took you 2 weeks to respond to that letter. The response did not fully address the questions. You did send a review and action report. I was amazed that report did not even mention that your passenger was physically harmed. I think that is an important part of the investigation. It's not mentioned in your report. Would you care to respond to that?
Sir, we preferred, given the video was indeed so visible to so many people, to just stay with the basic facts of the situation and not further sort of elaborate on those things. And again, the document, as we've laid out, was in fact to get as much information as out there as possible quickly.
I have 46 seconds. You do, I commend you for some of the changes that you are making in regards to policy for your employees. I'm very disappointed that you're not changing, or at least not mentioning a change to the policy of how you would select a passenger for removal. That's unbelievable to me that after that has occurred, you would not take, for instance, the very last passenger that shows up at the date rather than some other algorithm to choose an employee. So I'm very disappointed about your response in that regard.
Thank you. The situation is a difficult one because if someone arrives late because they were delivering a baby or something. It's a difficult choice. Our policy, our practice, our go-forward sort of situation would be as much as possible to ameliorate the possibility of those actual events happening, and in regards to reducing our overbooking, making sure crews don't get down on time, and most importantly, once you're on board one of our aircraft, you will not be removed, and certainly law enforcement will not be allowed other than for safety or security. So I think we've covered most of those issues, and of course, we'll offer incentives and financial remuneration along with alternative solutions to get to your destination. So it's a start, sir, and I think we'll move forward. You'll see us do that, and I hope I do earn your trust.
Thank you. I'm out of time.